Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining the video again. Hope you're enjoying the walkthrough. So I decided to go ahead and fast travel back to Riverwood here. Reason being, we're going to Bleak Falls Barrow. Now, this is our first real dungeon. Embershard Mine, you know, the mines are just kind of mini dungeons. Yeah, when you're just starting the game and you got crap weapons and stuff, yeah, it's tough. But you can still get through it, you know, especially if you bump the game's difficulty down to easy. You should be able to get through Embershard. You know, if you can't, no big deal. I don't think I got through it on my first playthrough, even though I did bump the rating down. But I wasn't, you know, keen on, like, putting better armor rating and stuff on, so I just got rolled in there. But, you know, I've since learned, oh yeah, put better armor on, you'll make it through a little easier, you can take some hits, and life will be okay. Now, guys, I mentioned casting these things doesn't automatically bump your conjuring skill, but when you come into contact with enemy and combat gets initiated, it will. So I like to keep her casted. She sticks around for a full minute. That way, if I run into a wolf or something, it'll automatically give me that bump and I don't have to think about casting. Okay, now, I don't have named equipment yet, but I'll get there. So there should be a wolf or two around here. Okay, we're gonna have some fun, guys. So if you've been sticking with me, welcome back. I think I just said that. But we're really gonna put these fun toys to the test. So, you know, we've got our follower now. He's got his own arrows. We've got our flame astronaut. She's gonna just drill things with fireballs and be super helpful in combat. And not only that, this detracts from you. So, you know, even if you're the only one actually killing anything, it gives the enemies more than one thing that they can target. So it just really takes a lot of pressure off having, you know, multiple things for backup. Now, the follower can die. Again, guys, save that game frequently. Before I get into any fistfight, I save the game. Before I enter a dungeon, I save the game. Just, you know, create save points, because if he dies, you can reload save and he'll come back to life and you'll try again. I can't stress that enough, just multiple save points. You can actually also kill your own follower by accident. And I killed one on purpose because it made me mad. But yeah, the follower death is just really a nuisance, especially when you've been using them as a pack mule and they have, like, you know, 300 pounds of equipment, and then they die, and then you have to loot their corpse, and then you don't have 300 pounds worth of space in your inventory. So, yeah, just all in all, save that game, guys. That'll really save you a lot of heartache. In your overall gameplay. The game does a lot of auto-saving, but the auto-saves can be corrupt. I tried to rely on an autosave at one point, and the game was just real glitched. It wouldn't load the game, it was all digitized, it was just terrible. And that is a common and known issue with Skyrim, is do not rely on autosaves. It is nice to have them, and then when they do work, it's great, but just keep in mind they cannot be relied upon. Alright guys, just to show you on the map now, I just basically followed the yellow brick road out of Riverwood, but instead of turning right to follow that river to go, you know, north toward Whiterun, I kind of kept going straight when I got over that bridge, and the path just kind of winded its way up this mountainside here. So ultimate destination is there, but we're right here as you can see on my map, and we have found something that really doesn't even show up on the map. Oh, it's not equipped. No wonder it wouldn't work. Okay, so that's what I was talking about. That refill that stamina real quickly, and it lasts a full minute. So, you know, you got some time here to just keep getting some quick stamina. Why am I not hitting? I must not be high enough. Or my arrows are going over their heads. That could be. Okay, so no more double damage. I'm detected now. Okay, so that's where that adrenaline rush really helps, guys, and this is another reason that I choose Redguard. You know, having the poison control is already nice, and that's already a good enough reason to choose Redguard. But having that adrenaline rush, especially early game when you don't have that much stamina, wow, it's just really, really nice to have. Unfortunate, you know, there's a long cooldown on it, but it's nice to have when it is available, you know, nonetheless. Okay, now here's that tower, and there might even be another bad guy here. No. But there's also some real good iron ore over here. Alright, so now that I got my iron ore, I am going to go ahead and loot this tower. Now, most towers, or structures for that matter, have some kind of loot chest in there. Sometimes it's behind something you have to lockpick, sometimes you have to lockpick the chest itself. So just always take a real good thorough look around in these areas for either a chest or loose lootables. Oh, excuse me. Hiccup time again. Okay, so there was another person in here. Totally forgot about him. Where's my follower? Is he sleeping on the job? But you guys can see the massive difference now with my attack output versus what I was doing in the beginning of the game. And he's wearing good armor. And I just two-shot him. And guys, this bow doesn't even have an enchantment on it yet. It's we did good. You know, all that leveling we did, all that time we spent, you know, talking to our follower to do the free training. Everything was just so worthwhile. And this is when it all pays off. That's why I said in the beginning of the video, now it's fun time. This is when we get to unleash the beast. Okay, there's our loot chest. Sometimes it's at the top of the tower, sometimes it's at the bottom of the tower. The moment you notice he's missing, guys, go find him. Because these guys can glitch out on you. And if they're not behind you, try to figure out why. Did they get hung up on a rock? Unfortunately, if that happens and you don't notice and you get too far away, they can just, like, get stuck there. And then, you know, an hour later, you're like, oh, by the way, where's my dude at? And, you know, the best advice I can give you is save the game frequently. So if it does happen and you can't find him, you can reload a save. But, you know, just retrace your steps. 9 times out of 10, I've been able to find them just standing there like a real genius, not doing anything. And I have to talk to them or something to snap them out of it. Okay, guys, now this is a real doozy. There's 3 archers here. I think at least 3. So this is probably a good save that game point. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and drop a hard save right here. So as soon as I get into combat, I'm going to be ready to rock and roll with her. Normally you can see them at a distance. So I'm going to try to stay back within reason. Sometimes there will be a guy walking down the stairs here and he'll get pretty close to you. Okay, I just saw a head movement up there, so there should be at least 3. And again, these are pretty formidable foes, so take a moment, make sure your armor rating is as good as it can be. And you might want to take up the arm up, suit up, and eat up. Although eating up isn't really a thing right now. And most of that comes in the form of potions, by the way. Okay, I must be under-aiming. If they're far enough away, you gotta aim a little high. The good thing is if you miss, wherever the arrow lands, they'll usually turn around and look, like what's going on kind of thing. Okay, so we got 2 down already, there's only 1 left, so now I can relax a little bit. I'm gonna take a little damage here, and that's okay. I'm trying to demonstrate this for you, if you'll stand still for a moment. Oh, my follower killed him! Okay, well... Anyway, just keep in mind there is an arch to the arrow, so if you're missing them, you know, try to see if maybe you're aiming a little too high or a little bit too low based on that. Okay, and I am going to pull some of the lighter weight, more valuable stuff out of here once again for selling purposes. And now that I've got the follower, I can carry even more weight. You can hand off stuff to him, and you'll be able to pick up even more loot along the way. Okay, Imperial Blow, that's quite a bit more damage than what I'm using now, so I'm going to grab that. And then I'll go ahead and move the Imperial Bow now to my primary bow. So check that out, 14 to 18. It's not, you know, massive, but it's significant enough you're going to notice a difference in combat, especially early game. So every chance you get to put another point or 2 on your bow, do it. Absolutely, hands down, every time. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do a soft save here since I'm making good progress and I want to keep what I just looted. And these are really tough to find the bodies sometimes. They camouflage themselves really good, especially if there's grass and stuff around. And at some point there's a spell, and it'll show you like where dead things are. So you can find vampires that way, dead bodies. So it's real handy for looting, if nothing else. Okay, not too much else going on out here. Here's the main entrance to the Barrow. Now before we go in there, there's a secret loot spot here. Ooh, river betties. That combines with the salt also to make that real good, strong potion. Breaking lockpicks, breaking lockpicks. Okay, got a gemstone there and some gold, not bad. The better your level is, the better the loot will get. So right now, you know, super early game, we're level like 11, I think. It's not going to be super crazy, but the amount of gold increases as you level. The amount of gemstone finds you'll get increase as you level. So just all the way around, you know, that's another reason that I take so much time to level so early in the game. Just all the way around, that's the way to go. Okay, so right here in the beginning of this barrow, you're going to see a bunch of dead things. And there are a couple of baddies right up here. So once again, I'm going to sneak strike here. Double damage, it should be one shot, especially with the stronger bow now. So I got 2 sneak strikes in there, meaning I was not discovered, and I was able to get both of those arrow shots off. Alright, so just a little bit more free looting here. Lots of lockpicking opportunities in this game, and I love it. So I just kind of have this method where I go one way or the other and see if it's any better or worse. If it's worse, I know I went the wrong way. If it's better, I know I'm going the right way. So as you can see, it's still better. There we go. And then if it starts getting worse again, then I know I went too far and I need to back it up a little bit. So the lockpicking is challenging because it's a very new kind of a mechanic for Nintendo players especially. And I grew up with Nintendo, guys. I was Nintendo all the way from day one as a kid. So, you know, the Xbox is a very new revelation for me. Alright, so I like to stay crouched because it gets your sneak skill bumped, especially when you start getting within proximity of enemies. And guys, these urns you can just auto-collect. 9 times out of 10 it's going to be very lightweight stuff and very, you know, more valuable stuff. They don't always have anything. But when they do, it's usually gold and or gemstones or something along those lines. It might be a ring or something. You're never going to pull like a 35-pound piece of armor out of there, for example. So yeah, just go ahead and auto-loot those, or quick loot. Whatever it is, collect all, however it's said. And most of the dungeons in this game are pretty linear. Some of them kind of branch off and will get you confused, but if you can just remember, most of them are linear. You'll be able to either get in or out without getting too lost. Now, some of them are very elaborate, and you're probably going to get lost anyway. So unfortunately, you know, sometimes you have to get lost to learn it. And then on, you know, subsequent playthroughs, you'll be able to know your way around a little bit better. Okay, so again, just, you know, keeping that linear scheme of things in mind, just kind of continue looping around the hallway here. Okay, we got some more bad boy trouble. Should be a sneak strike. Ooh, he's a tougher one. Okay, my follower is going to have to get involved in this fight. But guys, this is why I spent the perk point on stagger. Notice, not every time, but a lot of times when I plug this guy with an arrow, he kind of staggers. And that stops his forward motion, and that stops his attack. So, like I said, not every time, but when it happens, it's very, very helpful. And he was a very tough enemy, so that might be a good game save point. You know, do a quick soft save there, just in case you get your butt kicked by him. And I keep forgetting to give my follower a torch. I'm gonna have to do that.
Still here.
The reason I like the follower to carry the torch, for one, I'm not carrying the weight. But for two, he automatically takes it out from time to time, and you don't have to worry about, you know, doing the cast for the candlelight. Oh, I haven't showed you guys that yet, have I? But yeah, the candlelight, it really lights up your immediate area. And this area is already pretty well lit, so it's not really showing you that. But as you can kind of see that dark corner there, it really brings things to life when you get up in there. So yeah, candlelight, I use that, but I normally don't have to because, like I said, the follower with the torch normally takes care of that. Okay guys, so, you know, the reason I say this game is very close to Zelda, another reason is puzzles. You know, different types of puzzles, but puzzles nonetheless. So in these dungeons, you're going to see these puzzles with pictures of animals. So normally you're going to have a snake, a whale, and an eagle. I just call them fish, bird, and snake. So there's 3 things to turn down here, which means there should be 3 pictures somewhere on a wall. But sometimes in these ruins, they're going to have been, you know, broken away, and you're going to have to go locate it. So in this particular puzzle, we're missing 1 picture, so we don't know the sequence. So this particular missing piece happens to be right in front of us. And don't forget your free lootables while you're here. Alright, so the sequence is going to be snake, snake, fish. So we're simply just going to have to spin these things around until that matches that sequence. Snake, snake, fish. Now if you tried to pull this handle, chances are there was going to be some kind... I just wanted to show you all what would happen if, you know, you tried to flip the switch and you didn't get the sequence right. I had some kind of booby trap would trigger. In this case, it was poison darts. And guys, this is why I like Redguard. There's poison darts in these dungeons, like, everywhere. So yeah, enough about that. I'll go ahead and get the sequence right here, and then I will go ahead and flip my switch and actually get on through. So once you get your door opened up, you're going to emerge into this room with a little bit more looting. And read all the books, guys. A lot of them are going to be bump books. Not only that, they usually sell pretty decent at the mages. So yeah, always take the time to read and then pick up for selling purposes all the bump books you come across. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this little loot spot. Okay, once again, I'm going to crouch and kind of go through silent. I think there's some skeevers here or something on the stairwell. Oh, soul trap. Okay, these are real low threat creatures. So now hopefully my follower doesn't kill it before I can soul trap it. You see what just happened there? I lit it up, and as soon as it died, I took its soul. So now one of those empty soul gems is now a full soul gem. So the bigger spiders you can soul trap. The little white ones and the little, like, fire and ice ones you cannot. So there's my empty soul gems, and it tells you empty over there on the right. The full ones will tell you filled with petty soul. So what's going to happen when I kill an enemy that's too big for that, it just won't take. Unless I have an empty lesser soul gem, which I do. So, you know, if depending on the size of the enemy will depend on which soul gem gets filled. Now, unfortunately, say I run out of empty petty soul gems and then I kill another skeever, it will automatically then roll into a lesser soul gem, but it won't fill it all the way up like a lesser soul gem should be filled. So unfortunately, it kind of wastes the soul gem to a degree. I use these for crafting burner weapons just to get my enchanting skill up really quickly. So I could care less how many petty soul gems roll into lesser soul gems. But, you know, just keep in mind, if you run out of petty, lesser, and then common, it's going to start filling up greater and grand soul gems with, you know, crappy petty soul gem power. So just keep that in mind for your soul gems. Alright, guys. Moving right along here, we're going to come into this room with a whole bunch of webs. And speaking of spiders, if spiders make you squeamish, I apologize in advance, but there's a lot of spiders in this game. Also Hogwarts too, unfortunately. Just can't seem to escape the spiders. Did we have spiders in Breath of the Wild? I don't think so. I mean, the Guardians are kind of like spider-like, but they're not spiders. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to be finding spiders here real soon. So you're going to be hearing a guy starting to yell in the background at this point. And that's the NPC that you have to deal with in order to get the claw back for the vendor in Riverwood. So he's right on the other side of these webs here. Now, you can't walk through those webs. You have to break those. But I'm not actually going to do that just yet. I'm going to show you guys a little trick here. But before I do that, there is some looting here to do. There's a treasure chest hidden behind the webs. So I'm going going to try a little trick, and I'm going to try to cast... If you're close enough to a door or a web wall, you can cast the Flame Astronaut on the other side of it. And that might actually be enough to trigger some of these spiders to spawn in. And then that way my Flame Astronaut can start dealing with them before I even have to get involved. Do a little bit of damage in advance. Okay, you notice that's on the other side of the webs for me now, and unfortunately it wasn't enough to actually trigger anything. Okay, well, it was a good try. I had the right theory, it's just not the right setup, enemy setup for this, so that spider won't actually come out until I get in there. Okay, so to save on arrows, I usually punch it once, and then plug it with an arrow, and that usually is enough to break it. Okay, notice that conjuration just increased when I entered combat. So that's what I say, just simply casting doesn't do it. You've got to get combat initiated for it to actually count toward that stat. Okay, so apparently it's just the one big spider. Which is good, you know. Always take the time to loot urns in dungeons. Again, it's going to be lightweight stuff if it even has weight, but, you know, more often than not, you're just going to get gold and jewelry. Take the time to get all your spider eggs, absolutely, for making good potions, for selling purposes, and getting that alchemy stat up. Okay, these empty corpses usually don't have anything. Sometimes a skeever tail or a lockpick, but most of them are going to be pretty empty.
Get me out of here!
Okay, so that's pretty much it for loot in this little specific area. Sometimes you'll see these egg sacs too up kind of high, and the way to know if they have an egg is look for an opening. So if it's got that, you know, I don't know, that opening there, that sliver or whatever, those have the eggs. Alright guys, so here's the individual that we need to talk to. Now be ready with bow and arrow. Reason being is this guy's going to try to run, and he's pretty quick on his feet. So you're gonna have to kill him, unfortunately, because he's got the claw. He stole it, and he's gonna try to run away, even if he tries to sweet talk you. So just, you know, again, be ready to go with plugging him with an arrow as soon as he gets down from the webs. So what you can do is go ahead and talk to him. That'll kind of get the dialogue options going here.
Help me down, and I'll show you. You won't believe.
Tell him to hand over the claw. He'll tell you need to chop him down or whatever, and that's fine. So you kind of have to do it just to kind of get it done, because you can't actually kill him yet, unfortunately. But now that he's down, you can. So as soon as he starts running, go ahead and plug him. Okay, go ahead and take the claw back. Go ahead and take the journal. This might be one of those journals I never found out what to do with. But yeah, I can't really remember now, so... Okay, that's pretty much all he was good for, was a little bit of cheap loot. The claw was the real prize. Wow, all those urns are empty. Okay. And that will bring us into this next cell. Now guys, sneak. And always look up in rooms like this, see if there's any hanging moss. I don't know if there is any. But what I'm really looking for is these Draugrs, they call them. It's like a mummy. And there's a lot of lore and storyline behind where these guys come from. So that's why I say, guys, read all the books, read all this stuff. It's just so immersive of a game. There's a whole story behind these guys and how they serve the dragons and stuff. And it's just really, really cool. Okay, but what I'm really looking for right now is the Draugrs that are going to wake up. So these are static. And notice how it looks. It looks kind of grayscale. It doesn't look like it has any animated colors to it. And see the difference over here with this guy laying down. He's not so grayscale. He has some color scheme to him. That tells you that he's going to be one that wakes up. So what I like to do is kill these guys. Now we should be able to one-hit these dudes. You know, assuming we actually connect with our arrows. Bam. So now notice nobody else woke up. There's another one right over there, as a matter of fact. So that's what you want. You want to be able to one-hit those guys from a sneaked position. That way you're doing your sneak striking or your double damage while you're in sneak mode. Whoa, Orcish bow, guys! Score! Okay, so now I mentioned in another video, some of the followers have baseline default weapons.
I'm right behind you.
So even if you take it away, they're still going to pull that weapon out. So for, you know, just to show you an example of what I'm talking about, it doesn't show he even has a bow. But when he needs to pull his bow and arrow out, he pulls out a phantom bow, so to speak. And it's his hunting bow. And I stole that bow from him a long time ago, so he's really technically had no bow this whole time, even though he's been doing plenty of bow and arrow work. Alright, so that being said, if I give him a weaker bow, he's going to keep pulling out that hunting bow anyway. But if I give him a stronger bow... Okay, that's 18. Orcish bow is 20. So I'm going to give him the Imperial bow. That bumps his combat capability up even more. So now he's even better backup for me. And then I've got an even stronger, better Orcish bow. So booyah, booyah. And there it is. Now he's wielding that better bow. He is no longer wielding the default bow he came with. So keep that in mind. If you want to amp your followers up, you can equip them, you know, as strong as you want. The bad thing is when you're trying to do a bunch of soul trapping and they're the ones out there just killing everything real quick, you have to kind of tone them down a little bit because then you have trouble getting your soul gems filled. So, you know, you can make the followers extraordinarily strong, but at some point it's just a little over the top. Alright guys, you know, check all these Draugr. I don't auto collect from all these guys because they can, you know, they can be holding some pretty heavy loot, and it's not all stuff you want to take out of here. So I do kind of selectively pick and choose what I'm going to pull off these guys. And sometimes you'll find like iron bars or, you know, a gemstone or something sitting on top of these shelves, so always look through these things real thoroughly. Also, these wrapped mummies do the same thing, you know, make sure you're getting your gold and stuff from them. Alright, so that's Draugr 101. Uh-oh. Here I am, stomping around, not paying attention. So I think there's one or two more that'll wake up. This one's static. Okay, that one's going to wake up, he's got some color to him. That one's going to wake up, he's got some color to him. So again, you know, with the theme of targeting the farther away enemy, because when I kill this guy, the other one could wake up. I'm close enough to him. There might even be another one in here I didn't see on this side of me. Okay, so yeah, he woke up. And look, see exactly where he's going. That's why, guys, every time you have an opportunity, target the farther enemy. Okay, now notice I haven't been discovered yet. So that's the whole point. Okay, I think that should be it. And you can do the same thing in the Zelda games, and that's where I got the idea. I was like, hey, I wonder if I kill that Bobkin, if, you know, the other ones will just kind of turn around and look at him. And sure enough, it worked. I was like, oh, whoa! But hey, Skyrim had it first. Oh, ouch, I totally forgot about that booby trap. So yeah, pay attention to these things on the floor. They're very visible. Sometimes your followers will step on them and, you know, really piss you off, but whatever. It's all in fun. And I knew that one was there. I just totally, you know, spaced on it. Okay, I think I've pretty thoroughly covered this whole room now, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on through the booby trap. Now, if you want your follower to avoid it, kind of get some running distance on that first, so that they're more apt to follow directly behind you. And they'll be less likely to trigger that thing. Not only that, it puts a little bit of distance between you and the follower, and that way, if he does happen to trigger it, you're far enough ahead, you should be able to avoid the pain. Not only that, this particular dungeon and many others, sometimes they'll give you an alternate way around. So notice this one here gives you just enough room to walk through without even having to worry about that. Alright, so once again, stay crouched, make sure we don't charge in, otherwise they'll all wake up. Okay, notice I'm aiming low. That's what I was saying about, you know, that arrow has a natural archway to it. So it kind of takes off and goes upward a little bit. And then at some point it levels off and then it'll come back down. But that's why I'm always aiming low when I'm this close to enemies. I'm kind of aiming like right at the slab, right where the slab meets the body or so, or maybe even a little bit below that, depending on how close I am. Okay, again, just trying to watch for that hanging moss and stuff. Make sure I'm not missing a bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, another reason to check Draugr, gemstones. Not only the soul gems, but just regular gemstones. And guys, gemstones are every bit as valuable in this game as they are in Zelda. Maybe even then some. Because it's not just for cash flow, you also use them in crafting. Gotta make that jewelry so we can get that smithing skill up. Okay, so now I think I've got one here, here, and then there's one on my blind corner here, at least one. So this might be a good spot for a flame astronaut. But if I cast it too close, it will be a problem. Uh-oh, it might already even be too close. Yep, they woke up. Oh well. So no sneak striking for me right now. I should have gone a little bit farther back and done that. So no double damage. I might as well just stand up and go to town here. This is where having that backup makes all the difference, guys. When I say combat capable, I was not underselling. And neither one of them even died in that encounter. I took no damage. So, you know, if you come in here by yourself, it's going to be a tough fight, even if you bump the game difficulty down. And that's probably another mistake I made on first playthrough. I definitely didn't have her. And, you know, I might have had a follower, but I wouldn't have had him armed up very good. So, yeah, it was just a nightmare. I died a lot. Very first playthrough, it was just constant death.
You lead, I'll follow.
Alright, so enough about that. Go ahead and get all your goodies. Now, these arrows don't sell for anything yet, but when you get the speech skill up high enough, the ancient Nord arrows will sell for, I think, 1 or 2 gold apiece. And, you know, if you've only got 20, it's no big deal, but when you get, you know, several hundred, that 1 or 2 gold add up real quick. Okay, there's another sleeper agent over there, so I'm not going to get too close to him while I'm up on my feet. Again, guys, because I didn't hard delete all my save files, so it's like I'm getting game bleed over, which is a common known problem. It's not the first time it happened to me. It normally doesn't cause too much problems other than, you know, sometimes there's something where it shouldn't be. But this is a later game thing when you get to Solstheim. Kind of funny I can't loot it, though. So anyway, yeah, like I said, if I wanted to avoid that type of a glitch, I should have actually just gone in, done a real hard reset on the game, deleted all my game save data through data management, and, you know, started with a good, fresh game file. Or you can create a new user profile, and you can start a new game that way. Either way, you're safe. But if you just delete a bunch of your saves and, you know, restart playing the game at an earlier point, say you had, you know, 800, or that's a lot. Say you had 100 save files, and you wanted to back up to save file number 1. Sometimes the game will still think something is going on from one of those many save files you had in the future, even though you're kind of restarting a fresh game. Check that out, guys. Something with an enchantment on it. So I'm going to disenchant that, and that'll also help me with my enchanting skill. So everything I find throughout Skyrim that is enchanted, even if I don't want it, I'm going to grab it anyway for the specific purpose of disenchantment. Oh wow, he did not die in one hit. He's a tougher one. Okay, so now for here, these do a good amount of damage, so I just kind of like to try to sprint through. And then to keep your follower from getting killed in there, go ahead and make sure you activate that chain to shut them off. Oh, these do fall and burn you. So sometimes if you see like red ooze on the ground, that's flammable liquid. There doesn't even have to be that. If the air looks kind of funny, like it's moving, or you're like in a heat wave, that means there's a gas in the air that is ignitable. So anytime you see these pots, I always like to just kind of preemptively bust them down. That way, just in case there is gas that can blow up or something flammable on the ground, at least you're not getting caught up in it. Not only that, sometimes it'll take out an enemy for you or two along the way. Okay, now I can't tell. Yep, that's a wake up. Not bad. Make sure you get these circlets, especially the cheaper ones. You can enchant those and wear those in conjunction with Falmer helmets. And then you can actually enchant 2 pieces of headgear for the price of 1. Because normally you can only wear 1 piece of headgear. But there's a glitch or, you know, just an exploit there. So when you get your bow attack up, you can enchant a Falmer helmet and then a circlet, both with bow, and really get that attack power up on that bow. It's pretty awesome. Okay, I could have sworn I just killed somebody up here and he disappeared. Sometimes your bodies will despawn or fall through the floor, and honestly I haven't found a way to prevent that from happening. Once it happens, it happens. But what I will say is sometimes you'll see a little piece of the body part sticking up, like a kneecap or something funny, or, you know, a piece of their clothing, and then that'll give you just enough to be able to activate that and do your looting. Okay guys, this is that red ooze I was talking about. That's a flammable liquid, so to make sure you don't get caught up in that, go ahead and preemptively break that pot over there. And usually any other hanging pots in the immediate area, at least, they'll also fall and break. Alrighty. As long as you can pick these guys off onesies and twosies, you're usually okay with just you and your follower. Anything more than that, you're probably going to want to throw out your Flame Astronaut. At some point, I'm going to get us a shout where you can, like, throw your voice. And it's kind of like shooting that arrow without having to shoot the arrow, and it's really funny. She says just like really funny things like, I don't want to spoil it for you. It's a good time. And that's actually something we can get here really quickly, really early game. Do I have a bump in skill? Oh yeah, sure do. If you ever play with headphones and you don't like the feeling of being in like a scary dungeon, you probably don't want to play with headphones. When I say this game is immersive, guys, they spared no expense. They put a lot of time and resources into sound effects, and just the sound of being in here is scary enough to make you want to leave. So yeah, just keep that in mind if you're using headphones. It just kind of takes that to a whole nother level. Okay, so now there's a way out through that door, but before we do that, I'm going to say there's some lootables here. Okay, follower is still with us. Good to go. Now I'm going to throw a soft save down just because I've made a lot of progress here and I don't want to lose it, just in case something bad happens, like, you know, the game crashes or glitches out or whatever, console crash. Follower could die, just a number of things. Frequent saves, folks. Okay, take these glowing mushrooms. That's a really important ingredient to have for smithing potions. And they're tough to come by because they're usually only in caves. At some point you can build houses and have a farm and grow this stuff, which is really convenient, by the way. But for right now, just, you know, grab these things as you come across them. And sometimes they're real picky about where they want that cursor to be, otherwise they won't let you loot it, which is kind of frustrating if I'm being honest. You've got this gigantic freaking mushroom sitting right here, and, you know, it won't let you grab a hold of it. It's like, what's going wrong? You know, what's the problem? So the best advice I can give you is when they're in a cluster like this, where you got like 5 clustered together in a V shape, go after the biggest one. That's the sweet spot. Or any kind of V shape, really. Go after the biggest one. And sometimes they're kind of standalone, and you have to kind of really center that cursor right on top of them. Alright, so enough about mushrooms. I am squatting down because I'm not sure where my next bad guy is. Whoops. Okay, there's a Draugr, I believe, or a skeleton, one of the two. Double damage counts up until the point it says detected, by the way. So that's why I say you can usually lose 2 or 3 arrows and still get that sneak attack. Or sneak strike, I'll call it. Okay, there might be a skeever down there. I think it's pretty clear, though, otherwise. There's some loot down there, so I'm going to take the time to dip down here real quick. But when we get back up topside, we'll have to go back across that bridge to the right. I don't see the skeever. Maybe it's the dead one and I just thought it was alive. Yay, lockpicking skill. Another good way to level is to lockpick everything, even if there's like a cage door that there's nothing behind. If you can lockpick it, lockpick it. Make sure your follower is always behind you, especially when you go, you know, a bit out of the way. It's always worth an extra second or two to make sure they're still following you. Wow, I keep wrong buttoning, guys. See, here's one of those issues I'm talking about. This great big fat freaking mushroom, and I can't even pick it up. Sometimes if you're too close to, that'll cause a problem, so you might need to back up a little bit. Case in point, that was the problem I was having right there. Okay, so another thing that I learned in this game that I showcased in Zelda was a test arrow. Now, I don't have a ton of arrows, so, you know, 71, I mean, yeah, it's a good amount. I can burn through those pretty quickly, though, so, you know, I'm going to be real limited on test arrows, but if you're getting into a room and you just don't know what you're getting into and you want to see what's going on, you can fire a test arrow. So until we get that shout I mentioned where you can throw your voice, that's the next best thing. So just to give you an idea what I'm talking about. Now, I can see there's actually a guy here. But say you didn't, but say you wanted to know, you could fire a test arrow at the furthest away object or wall. And whatever's going on in that room is going to kind of wake up and go toward that arrow impact site. So it won't come after you, it'll kind of go investigate to see, you know, what caused that noise wherever the arrow hits. Okay, double damage right up until the moment you're discovered. I think there's a hidden chest in this room somewhere. Bear with me while I take a good thorough look around. That might have been it. Okay, so once you've finished one section of the dungeon, it'll kind of, you know, make you open a door or something toward... The door just doesn't open, it'll kind of black out a little bit and reload another part of the dungeon. So whenever that happens, I like to usually put down another soft save. Again, because the autosaves aren't reliable. So I just like to have that good reliable save point at all times. You can even put down a hard save here if you want. This way, you know, for whatever the reason, if you want this spot to come back to, Even if you quick save a few more times down the road, you can always have that backup save. Now I think the Switch limits you to 100 saves. I think. It's been a while since I played on the Switch. Xbox lets me go beyond that. So keep that in mind for Switch. You know, you might have to go back through and delete some of these saves at some point. Just the extra ones you might have done, you know, for whatever the reason. Okay, the reason I snuck in here is because I knew there was going to be a guy right there. I usually try to hit him before I get discovered, because this is quite a hornet's nest in here. Did my follower make it through? Okay, now there are some pots and more flammable fluids around, but I'm going to try to do them all from distance. And this is another moment that test arrow might come in handy. If you can't seem to find the bad guys, you can fire a test arrow to kind of lure them out a little bit. For example, there's one behind a wall right there. If I don't want to wait for him, I can shoot an arrow that way. He will then go that way. And then I can go ahead and plug him with an arrow. And he didn't fully come out there. I thought that was going to be a sweet shot there, but the stupid arch of the arrow hit the archway here and it didn't quite make it. I missed. I thought maybe the pot would get him. Okay, so you probably already are already noticing that I am leading my shots quite a bit. When they're walking or running. And, you know, that's something that kind of came with time. At first, I wasn't able to really hit them. I would always, you know, miss. Either anticipated too early or, you know, didn't anticipate enough. But, you know, in time, I picked up the skill of doing better and better at that. So now I'm actually able to hit moving targets pretty good. In fact, sometimes I can hit the moving targets better than I can hit the one standing still, where I'm just trying to aim in with my joystick, ironically. Okay, not too much else going on in this room. I don't know if I looted him yet. Nope. Alright, so go ahead and go on up the stairway. Now it's going to start getting a little more confusing moving forward, because things are going to start looking the same. And this is where you can really get turned around and start running one way and saying, wait, I've already been here. And then turn around and run the other way and say, wait, I've already been here. And then you know, an hour goes by and you still can't find your way out of the dungeon. And so if you can just remember that linear fashion, even a confusing room like this is a little bit easier to navigate. And now the only way to go is across this bridge and going out of this cell. So, you know, that's why I say try to think of these dungeons as hallways. Alright guys, our first puzzle door. So now we got the claw. So now every time you get a different claw in this game, it's going to open a different door. All you got to do is go into your inventory. But I can see it good enough. Sometimes you might have to kind of move it around so you can see the light better. But you can see there's like a bear, a moth, and an owl pictures from top to bottom on that claw. The three little circular things. I don't know if you can actually see those on my video. But when you're playing the game for yourself, you'll be able to see three small pictures there in those round circles. So that's your code. So bear, moth, owl. So all you got to do is rotate these around until you get the bear, the moth, and the owl. Okay, so there it is. Bear, moth, owl. So now I've got that good to go. Now I can put my key in there and I should be able to open the door. Now normally when you put the key in there and you don't have the code right, there's some kind of a booby trap waiting for you. Alright guys. If I'm at where I think I'm at, this is pretty much going to be the end of dungeon. And this is a tough fight, so this is a real good time for a hard save. Alright guys, there's some looting to do before I get into this fist fight. So yeah, I put down the hard save. I'm going to go ahead and drop a soft save when I'm done looting here, just so I don't have to reloot the area. In fact, I'm going to do that right before I'm ready to fight. That way if I die, I'm just ready to do the fight right away again. Okay, so some real good looting to do here behind these waterfalls. Oh, that's the way out, by the way. I actually got stuck in here because I didn't see that. I kept, trying to figure out how to proceed. Most, if not all, of these dungeons have an exit right near the end of it, so you don't have to walk all the way back through to the beginning to get out, which is really, really nice feature. And some of them even dead end into the beginning. They're like a giant loop. So again, just a super convenient thing. Alright guys, now if my game didn't glitch out and I didn't get that shout by accident that I shouldn't have gotten, this is going to be our first shout. Now, as soon as we get that shout, the bad guy's going to wake up. So before I do that, I like to go ahead and, get myself prepared for that. I like to do whatever looting. Heavy armor, but it sells good, so I'm going to grab it. Quite a bit of gold, so not a bad loot chest. Now, normally I'm going to get some kind of a frost weapon off this guy, which is great because we're going to be able to enchant our bow with it once we get it disenchanted. So guys, super exciting time. We've already done a lot in the game and we've barely even gotten started. This game is so massive, this is nothing yet. Alright, so again, soft save. I'm not going to activate that until I'm ready to fight. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to summon the hottest girl on the planet. She is literally on fire. Go ahead and take my bow back out and get ready for combat. Okay, we got my follower, we got my flame astronaut, we are good to go. So what I'm going to do is kind of use them as human shields. I'm going to get my word unlocked. And I'm going to stand back here, get my bow ready. I'm going to plug that guy the moment he sticks his head up. Come on, buddy. Sometimes you have to approach it. There we go. I think I missed, which is unfortunate. So as soon as I'm discovered, no more double damage. Okay, he probably knows I'm here by now. Oh, he just shouted my bow out of my hand. That's another thing. With that shout attack he just did at me, it can knock whatever you've got equipped right out of your hand. So you'll have to pick it back up and re-equip it if that happens to you. Oh, maybe I didn't. Okay, I'm seeing crap. But hey, whatever. They took care of them for me, so easy peasy. So yeah, unfortunately, I just wasn't real quick on that. Been a while since I've had that happen to me. I kind of forgot what to do there for a moment. Okay, so there's that stone that we needed for the mage up at the castle. Oh yeah, and I know that's really heavy, guys, but you need it. We're going to disenchant that so we won't have it long. But that'll get that unlocked so we can enchant our bow. Alright, so anyway, now that I picked my bow back up for real this time... Oh, he must have not... Okay, that's why I was confused. There was more than one bow on the ground. Whew! So he didn't just knock my bow out of my hands, he knocked my follower's bow out of my hands. Now, guys, I'm actually glad that happened because I had it happen where I gave my follower a really just sick, high-powered bow. It was super doped, enchanted, crazy. I put a lot of time and resources into crafting that thing. I gave it to him, and I didn't know that that was a thing. And we were in a dungeon, and I don't know, at some point throughout my dungeon play, he got yelled at by the guy, that voice attack. He lost his bow, and I never knew that could happen, so, I got way later in the game, I'm like, hey, where's that dude's bow at? And I didn't know, I just thought it glitched out and, just despawned or something. And then in some subsequent... jeepers. Blah, blah. Some subsequent playthrough later, I saw it actually happen where the guy got the weapon ripped out of his hand. And then I remembered that from, ages ago, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Now I see what happened. Alright, folks, so once we are done with the bad guy, we are pretty much done. You can go ahead and exit the chamber. Most, if not all, dungeons have some kind of a loot chest or pocket on the way out the door. So always, always, always take the time to exit manually for that reason alone. So anyway, as soon as you come out of the cave, you notice I found a potion there. Sometimes there's, like a alcove or something you can do a little bit more looting at. To the left or to the right of some of these cave exits. But right below me, there's... Excuse me. By the way, fall damage is a thing, so make sure you're getting yourself down nice and easy. There are some gem nodes here to harvest, and guys, always take the time to get the ore in this game. Even if it's just iron ore and you don't need any more iron ore, do it anyway. Reason being is they also produce gemstones randomly. This one happens to be corundum, so it's a little bit better. And now that I've got corundum, I need one more thing so that we can go get our follower the ability to cast his own flame astronaut. So you need corundum, and you need a greater soul gem, which I don't have yet. So the very moment I get that greater soul gem, I'm hiring a carriage, I'm going right to Windhelm, I'm going into the, below the mage's castle out there, whatever it's called, and I'm getting that thing made. Alright, so in addition to, there's some more ore around here, so check these, mountainside slopes real good. I can't think to the top of my head exactly where they're all at, but you should find some iron, some more corundum, etc. But right here at the lake, there's also a fun little loot spot. I will show you before I cut video. And what I'm looking for is these things sticking up out of the water, and that's actually part of an underwater structure. So anytime you see these things and they look too good to be natural formation, you might want to dip your head under the water and see what's going on. So in this case, you see I've got two red things lighting up on my map. That's fish that can chew you up pretty good. So the way I like to combat that fish is have your follower here with you. He can shoot arrows at him, but he normally doesn't hit them. So the next best thing is going to be conjuring your flame astronaut. And then she usually locks onto those things pretty easily with her flame attack. So, while I'm trying to loot this, those fish are usually going to be a nuisance. There it is. She just nailed one of them. Wham! Try not to be standing in between you, or try not to stand between her and the fish, though, because sometimes she'll hit you with the flame thing instead of the fish. Alright, so I got some more barnacles down here, which is awesome. Kind of tough to see underwater. You can always light your candle before your candlelight or whatever it's called. Oh yeah, and you can take damage if you're underwater too long. Keep that in mind. You have to come up from air for air periodically. Okay, now if you see clamshells, open those. Sometimes you'll get small oysters or pearls, or sometimes you'll get large pearls, but sometimes you'll just get clam meat, which is really worthless. And sometimes it's tough to maneuver in here because there's a current. So yeah, get your barnacles, get your chest, get all your fun stuff that's down. So yeah, again, just a fun little loot spot. And also, notice the insects don't run away from you in this game like they do in other games. The tough part, though, is sometimes they're real ziggy-zaggy and they're just real hard to lock onto, so spamming that button is helpful in collecting insects in this game.